So I think everybody's probably familiar with how BCIT is structured. I think I'm the first of the big school overview talks, which is mainly what's going on in here this morning and afternoon, right? So School of Computing and Academic Studies, first up. This is a talk, a little bit of variation of one I gave to the Premier's Technology Council that I believe James mentioned earlier a few months ago. So it's kind of an overview of what computing and academic studies is, and then kind of a big list of names and sort of what people are doing and selected ones. And I may look out to see who's out there to provide extra details on projects if you want. All right, so computing and academic studies, you probably know it's a bit of a hodgepodge. It runs all the way the gamut from computing, which has quite a few different diploma and degree programs. There's forensics, run by Dean Hildebrand, who was here a little while earlier. And I'll talk a bit more about collaborations that forensics has with chemistry and computing within the school as well. And then we've sort of got the academic studies host of things. That includes math, where I'm from, physics, chemistry, but then we've also got the humanities side of things, so communications and liberal studies. So Rick mentioned the NSERC side of research. That covers a lot of what we do. We've had some NSERC discovery grants into the school, but we've also got sort of the SHRC side of things as well with common liberal studies. So if you've got questions as I go along too, please pipe up. So I'm going to talk about a few themes. There's the sort of the more educational side of things in the school, and then sort of more pure research side as well. So the school's fairly large, and like I said, it's sort of the breadth. We've got a bit of everything, and I'd say one of the good things selling the school is that we're kind of got to have our fingers in everything. We teach into almost all the programs across BCIT. So as you'll see with some of these projects, we're collaborating sort of across the institute. So for instance, we've got a lot going on with health, whether it's forensics or natural health products, or I've worked with biotechnology a fair bit over the years. A lot going on with engineering, between the physics department and engineering, for example. And so we've, like all the other schools, I think Kim mentioned something about the school research committees. I've been co-chairing our school research committee for a long time now, nearly a decade. Aaron Hunter is back there. He's co-chairing now too. So Aaron's been really good about getting a research seminar, monthly seminar going this last winter, and kind of resuscitated things in the school. And I'll talk a bit about the discovery grants as well. So we do have externally funded sort of more pure research programs, and as well as a number of industrial collaborations. All right, I mentioned the regular meetings, thanks to Aaron back there. Okay, so one of the big things about doing research in the schools is tying the students in. So sort of going by department, one of the diploma projects in computing all have a sort of work projects. I've sponsored a number of students in my own research, but that's a number of faculty sponsor sort of the diploma projects. And then the BTECs are the big, they do a 500-hour practicum as part of their program. So there's a lot of research and supervision potential there. Forensics is really structured around research projects, and I'll mention one of the forensics examples here in a second. So a lot of the faculty in forensics are coordinators to sort of draw in outside expertise and really build up long-range student projects. And then we've got sort of people doing things in all the other disciplines, academic studies, with shorter and longer student projects there. All right, so now I'm going to sort of get to the start listing by department a bit, just kind of to give you a brief connection of who's out there doing what. I'm not sure if this is absolutely up to date. If anybody sees things that should be, shout something out. So in forensics, just some of the areas that forensics covers, Dean's the head of the department. His expertise is really in DNA and fingerprinting human remains. Sheila Early, more oriented towards the health sciences. Patrick Neal was here a little earlier. He's more into I think, crime patterns and analysis there. Tina Yeo is into IT security. Dave McKay is into digital evidence, as you see. And then Joe Elsafir, haven't seen, but he's been active in the research committee this fall. Does a lot with statistical modeling and profiling. So this is just a couple slides that Dean gave me a couple years ago for some of the student projects that they do. So the one with the gun there is a sort of a ballistics analysis. They work a lot with RCMP. So this is somebody that was in the RCMP and did her BCIT degree here on ballistics ID. And then on the bottom there is one more along Dean Hildebrand's expertise. So if you can make out the fingerprint or the handprint on the wall there, they were actually able to get a DNA profile off the cells that were left on the wall. So shifting gears a little bit into sort of the educational side, so pedagogical research. Talk a bit about, hey, all right. So talk a bit about a project we've had going in the math department for a couple years now. We call Building Better Math. And this is sort of the driving forces behind this are a lot of times, and I've got a daughter in high school who definitely falls into this, they don't see when they're ever going to use math and when it's useful. So if people drop out of the pre-calculus stream in high school early on, they're going to cut off a lot of the programs that we do here at BCIT and a lot of the careers that we offer sort of gateways to. And there's a need. You've probably heard plenty of this about BCIT. We do need, there are skill shortages in a lot of these technical careers. So we need to be saying, why is math useful? And this ties into a push from an earlier report from the Premier's Technology Council on the need for math and problem solving. So you can have a look at the website. We've now got it moved back to grade 10. We sort of started at the grade 12 level, and that ties into a lot of the stuff we teach in math. We sort of know as we're teaching into the programs how to make this applied and how not just to teach very dry pre-calculus, for instance, but how to use it for building bridges and whatnot. So this was sort of easy for us to start on looking at the grade 12 level, and now we've moved it back because the kids who are already in grade 12 pre-calculus are pretty keen about math. It's the ones sort of at 10 that need to get pulled in. Yeah? Yeah. Oh. Okay. Not generally. I mean, Aaron is more of a math side of thing, but actually that's one of the programs that we, I think some of the options we have taught calculus into as a math department, but most options we don't teach calculus. Yeah.
So just a second. Basically, anybody that has a question in the audience, we'd love to get it at least you on the microphone, or at least we can repeat it. So that original question was, do you need calculus to get into the computer science program? And I believe the answer was...
Answer is not for the diploma students here. That's right. So the degree students do need calculus depending on the option. So.
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so this, if you're interested, check out the website, but our idea is to answer this question is, when am I ever going to use math out in the real world? And we've tried to build in real world applications instead of just sort of the dry worksheet drills that a lot of grade 10 students are going to see out there as the regular curriculum. And it kind of emphasizes BCIT as well, that we might show you how to use this. So a bit tied in with the theme of sort of the education pedagogy thing. Morella will be giving a talk if you want to see more details about this tomorrow. I believe it's 10 in the morning. So she's received Institute research funds for developing math educational software. And this goes back a bit earlier than our Building Better Math thing, which is high school. To have a a math game. So it's called Heroes of Math Island. They go onto a little island, and wizards can help them out with if they have questions with their factoring, or no, it's not quite factoring. It's earlier than that. So they've got a few sort of key pieces of grade 5, 6 math that they're aiming at. And so she's working on a PhD in education at UBC, and this is tied in with that. So more details, see Morella's talk tomorrow morning. So there's a lot done on the pedagogy side and common liberal studies. So just to sort of a big list of names here, but some of the themes that people are going after in common liberal studies are sustainability, use of technology. There's a lot with, say, with Catherine Golder and Darlene and Deanna there about engineering students and specific communication problems or techniques, and I think they work in electrical engineering. Intercultural, as you go more into the liberal studies folks on the towards the bottom of the list there, people are into philosophy, architecture, semiotics. So it's quite a list there. And again, they're teaching sort of across campus. So if it's an opportunity sort of pull in the communication side, the philosophy side, more the liberal studies side, and if we're talking about collaborative projects across campus. Back to computing a bit now, and going more into the sort of the straight research projects, which do pull in students. Just a few of the names in the department, and I know I'm leaving out plenty of folks. Tajinder Randhawa works in wireless. He's worked a number of years with student projects. He was a Canada Research Chair nominee in the department. Aaron Hunter, who's in the back, is a new awardee of an NSERC Discovery Grant. And he's got a talk, I think it's 2:40 this afternoon. Yep. So see more details on his, on intelligent systems. Borna Nuruddin, who was here, he's probably in the other room now. He has a talk in an hour, 12:40. So he's working with Jamie Borisoff. There were some slides about Jamie's stuff earlier with assistive technologies. And Bill Klug is interested in cloud computing and had an instructional enhancement grant for that earlier. So it's just kind of a brief overview of things going on in computing. Chemistry, Jamel is here. Is a synthetic organic chemist. He's worked with Paula Brown over in the Technology Center, and just told me he's doing a new synthetic project with David Hassman here, who's listed, who's also in forensics, who's collaborated with Kevin Salisbury in chemistry too. So a brief thing about my stuff. I've had an NSERC Discovery Grant for the last 5 years here. I'm in the process of ramping up to renew that funding. So one side of my research life is NSERC to do with plant morphogenesis, how plants get their shapes. The other side of my life is funded through a collaboration I have with a friend, Dr. Spiroff in New York, funded by the National Institute of Health there on how fly embryos form their very early protein patterns that differentiate the cells into head ends and tail ends. So on the plant growth side, I've had a number of computing students come through to make graphical user interfaces for our software that essentially computes. Is this pointer work? Maybe? No. All right, okay. So that's a computed spruce embryo on top and a real spruce embryo on the bottom. So on the bottom, I've been lucky enough to work with biotech over the last 5 or 6 years. And sponsor, supervise biotechnology students every summer to make measurements on these little spruce embryos. And the little bumps around there, the cotyledons, the first seed leaves that the embryo makes. And then the top is the math side of it. I'm computing those shapes according to a system of differential equations that change that surface, the surface shape. So it's trying to develop a theory of how those cotyledons get spaced and test that theory out in the lab. So the fruit fly side of it, briefly, I can go on about my stuff for hours, so I'll try to move on. Is sort of saying if you have 1,000 fruit fly eggs, how many turn out well, how many don't? pretty much all of them will turn out well in a wild-type population. So what makes them so robust? So this is going into modeling gene transcription and how genes are expressed in the early embryo. We sort of know all the genes, and we can tag the RNA and proteins that are made off these genes. And so we can take quantitative data on where these proteins and RNAs are expressed, where these genes are expressed, and then I can do mathematical modeling on how the gene transcription operates, and try to match the statistics we see in the lab. All right, so on for my stuff. So Jim Booth was another one of the. We both got NSERC grants at the same time in 08 for the first time, and he's reapplying again this year. So he's a cold physicist. He does things right down at just about 0 Kelvin. So he has made these atom traps here at BCIT with laser cooling, and he works with Dr. Madison at UBC for a lot of this. He's sponsored and supervised numbers of students here at BCIT in electrical and a number of different technologies, as well as grad students at UBC with this collaboration. So they're using these cold atom traps where they can use laser cooling to actually trap little, I think this dot up on the upper right is actually you can see this little ball of atoms that are kind of suspended in space by this laser cooling. And they're developing sensors with this technology. So yeah, and I should mention that that's also received support from the Canadian Foundation for Innovation for a lot of their infrastructure. All right, so just sort of the brief overview of sort of where computing and academic studies is. It's kind of in the middle of BCIT. There's lots of people in there, lots of people well-trained and ready to do research and interested in it. It's a way of sort of, especially cross schools, that we can sort of offer sort of the basic physics or the basic comm or math or whatnot as a collaborative supervision and different technologies. We've got a lot going on with sort of the pedagogical research. How do we improve communication? How do we improve math education? That sort of thing. And it helps us sort of, with our collaborations with other universities and the international or national and international funding, sort of helps with BCIT's profile, as you'll see with all the research here over the next couple of days. It's something that is central to BCIT. So I think that is it. I think there's lots of time for questions. Yeah.
Interesting projects there. So opening it up to questions. There were multiple different projects there, multiple different people. Any questions at all? One in the audience?
What kind of mechanisms are there for, I see you have lots of collaborations with other departments, which is very good. And for example, I'm faculty in building science, and I see that there's a lot of a need in computing support for, you talk about forensics engineering. We have forensics in buildings too. And for example, diagnosis of buildings, and there's a lot of intelligence and knowledge that is in there that can use a lot of support from computer science. So my question is, what kind of mechanisms are there for this kind of collaborations? Let's say we want to work together with you guys.
Yeah. No, very good question. I mean, sort of it's sort of easier if you have math and comm and physics instructors teaching into your program to sort of start those individual connections with the instructors teaching into the programs. But if say you're talking about forensics, that you might not have instructors coming into your program, then I suppose the next step is talk to Dean or talk to about who he might know who would be interested in setting up collaborations, say with building. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, sort of with the fingers all out, the first place is if you have instructors in your from computing and academic studies in your program, sort of makes the natural connection. But yeah, Aaron.
We'll get the microphone up to him.
Hello. We don't really have any formal mechanism to get computing help to other schools, but it's a good idea. I would say you should come and talk to me or to Borna, one of the people actively involved in research, because we have some time to do that. The full-time teaching faculty don't necessarily have time, so they'd have to work out an arrangement if it was going to be a big commitment. But I would encourage anybody from other schools to do that, because it would be nice if computing could actually lend support where it's necessary across schools. As long as I have the mic, I wanted to mention we do have a Loop group for our research as well, which you can sign up for and attend our research meetings and get involved with us that way.
So which research group was that? Is that the school research? Or,
Yeah, our school research committee has Aaron started a loop on it, loop group. Yeah.
Excellent. So any other questions or opportunities to connect with David and his projects? No?
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and do feel free to come up and talk to me or Aaron about school research activities. Good. Thanks.
Thank you very much.